and welcome back to the Detailing Bay. We're continuing our talk through guides, and in this week's episode we're looking at metal. As ever, Dave is here with me. So Dave, let's start at the very beginning. Why is it important to look after the metal on your car?
Well, your metal's very much like your paintwork. It picks up the same little fine scratches and defects your paint would. Only its extra weakness is they're not coated.
Right.
So
are they prone to corrosion and things?
Yeah,
like that?
the more subject as like paint can withstand the elements more, but with exposed bare virgin metals, you're already starting a chemical reaction, if you want, when it's in the elements, and that will start that dulling process. So not only are you battling with that, but also everything else that is thrown at a car, like your scratches, little knocks, stuff like that.
So what kind of, like when you say metal, I think that metal's sort of disappeared off cars. Obviously, you've still got your exhaust tips, a bit on a grill maybe, but you used to get like metal, like chrome bits all over, didn't you?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it is on certain areas being like phased out to a degree, but yeah, there are certain parts on the car that are always going to be, and the biggest one is always going to be like your exhaust tips.
Yeah,
and that's never really going to change unless you obviously get an electric car.
Yeah, maybe badges. So when it comes to metal polish, what types of metal polish are there? Because have you got sprays? I know that I've used like Mothers, which is like
Magan aluminium.
Yeah, it's like a paste, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll come in all weird and wonderful ways. The majority of them are like a semi-thick paste, but the two main differences is two approaches. There's abrasion, and then there's the chemical way of cleaning it. So you can clean it the same way they dull from chemical reactions, the same way you can actually brighten them back up. So they're both types of abrasion, if you like. Just one's chemical, the other is natural abrasive. A couple of quick snippets is Mother's Magan aluminium, for instance. That's abrasive. Then you've got Poor Boy's heavy duty metal polish. That's a chemical based one. So It actually contains no actual like aluminium oxide or anything like that. And then the other ones on top of that are ones that also do include some form of protection after it as well. Like Collinite's 850 metal wax. It's an abrasive metal cleaner, but it also contains something to protect it afterwards, which does slow down the dulling effect, because it will happen again.
So I want to explain to people how to use them. So shall we just basically take them through each type?
Yeah, so with both, whether it's chemical or abrasive, they are very similar. The abrasive one is probably going to be more impacting if you used with, like, for instance, you can get like little oval applicators, can't you? Like chemical guys, for instance, they do like different grades. So like polishing your paint, it's going to have some degree of impact on metals as well. So let's use example, you're doing your exhaust tips. They're rid of all the tar spots and everything else that they pick up, and you've just got this very dull looking metal. A few pea-sized blobs on there, and then with a circular motion, work the area and then just wipe clean. And you're probably going to have to repeat depending on how often you do it. When it's chemical, it is a similar, but you don't have to put as much elbow grease into it as much, because you're reliant on a chemical reaction as opposed to just brute force using an abrasive. I've found, depending on how bad they are, kind of dictates which avenue you're going to kind of go down.
Right, if they're really bad, if it's like a full stainless steel exhaust and you want to get it looking new again, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah, sometimes it's a case of using chemical, and you're also using abrasive as well. And some of them do have some of the chemical base in there, which acts as a cleaner as well.
Yeah. So when you've done that, when would you use a metal sealant? Would you really seal? I've never used a metal sealant. Unless I remember Brightmax Metal Twins. Was one of those
Metal Twins, popular. Yeah. So you had the cleaner, and then you had the sealant after it. And there is quite a few out there that come as chemical guys did them as well, heavy metal and the light metal polish and protectant. So there is a few out there, but you can use regular products you'd use on your paintwork on there as well. It's better getting something on there rather than putting nothing. The old classic, and I bet still a lot of people still use it, was Finish Care 1000p, which was originally a mold release that turned into this fantastic sealant, but it's a genuine high temp mold release, so it can go in exhaust and it's not impacted by the temperature. And that's the big drawback when you go for exhaust tips. Other metals that aren't getting exposed to heat are an issue, but you put a regular wax on an exhaust tip and it's going to kill it off almost instantly as it gets hotter. So dedicated metal sealants have a purpose, and it's usually, especially ones geared at exhausts, is they can take that higher temperature as well. So 100% necessary. It slows down that process. You just can't, if your car's out in the elements, you can't stop that happening.
I was just going to say, like, is a metal sealant the same as an anti-corrosive treatment on your metal, or is that a different product altogether?
Yeah, it's a bit. The line's probably a little bit blurred there, I guess, to a degree, but it's on a lighter term when your exhaust tips start to get a little bit dull. It's a very slow process. It's just one that just can't be avoided. It's a chemical reaction that happens with being just exposed to the elements.
Oxidizing, liquids,
and it'll just happen straight away because metals aren't dull from new. A virgin metal is shiny. It's just the elements that cause it to dull off.
I've got just another little question. So let's say you take a nano polisher to your exhaust tips. What kind of pad would you use? And there's obviously no lacquer on, or is there lacquer on an exhaust? It's just
if there was lacquer on there, it wouldn't dull off.
Corrode, all right. Yeah. Well, let's say it's corroded and you're using a nano. What pad would you use? And could you still use like a mother's polish on it?
There are loads of, you can. There's polishing cones as well, which take up the same foam structures as pads do, just in a different shape. They work really well, and they are, if you see your people that are taking the cars to shows and whatnot, that's kind of where they're going with it. If you're doing it with like your regular oval pad and giving it a freshen up, it's like your daily. It's to be admired from a few feet back. But when you want to bring it to that level like you would with your paint, where you really want to refine it, then you can get polishing cones. Or if you did want to use like a nano machine, you do the pads in the same manner you would on your paint. Okay. Find what works best to get rid, and then you may need to soften up and refine as well just to get it.
So that way you can kind of use an old school product like your Maganelli and cut out the elbow grease with your nano.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or Menzerna polishing cream is a really good one that works on a machine as well because of the way it dispenses. And a little tip, it can be used. It works really well on plastics as well.
There you go. Another top tip from the detailing bay. So moving away from your classic metal that your Badgers exhausts, there are some more advanced treatments like the Bilt Hamber, like anti-corrosives. Can you talk us through them?
Yeah, like mainly the Dynax range, like the UB and UC. So on certain metals, it will work fine. You've also still got that problem of temperature-related issues that you would have. It's also like Dynax, for instance, doesn't sit as neat as a regular sealant would. So it's better suited to like anti-corrosive, like your suspension arms, suspension. All right. And then they do the S50 as well, but that's even messier, but that's designed to go into cavities.
These like DIY products then, or do you need to be, have a
no, you can use them, but you're already like, you get a lot of people that are doing car builds, stripping down, and then like we had someone in the other day who's doing a very old Beetle, and they've taken the fuel tank out, and where it sits against the bulk is a very small cavity. It's already rotted once. They've had it all fixed, and you can't avoid water and stuff getting in there. So she's gone with the S50, and so that will go in there, and then that will just sit as an anti-corrosive layer. But it's a bit messier looking. It's designed for hidden places. The Dynex, like UB and UC, are designed for like suspension arms. If you put new coilovers on, get them sprayed in that. So it's an anti-corrosive, but it's not as neat and tidy in some respects. It's kind of for the hidden body parts.
Right. So it doesn't leave a nice finish.
No, you can tell. You wouldn't want to say you had aluminium strips across the top of your car for like a roof rack or something. The Dynex wouldn't look great on there. It's a bit of a messier product. It's definitely designed for under rather than on top of.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. We're dedicating this season to a series of talk-through guides, so if this is your first time listening to us, have a listen to the other episodes for more advice and tips. We also have our YouTube channel, also called The Detailing Bay, and that is home to even more advice and chat about detailing. Thanks for listening. Join us next time for more from The Detailing Bay.